Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so just after 7 in the morning here, getting ready to leave, and it's getting hot here. So you can see that the bracelet's a little tight, and in summer, I always tend to loosen it up, the bracelet. So let's do that. So I'm going to use a toothpick. All right, there we go. So, in summer, your wrist tends to swell. All right, much better. All right, so the adjustment was done day before yesterday. I've been wearing it since. Feels a lot better, really comfortable. So that's what I do in the summer, and in the winter, when my wrist doesn't swell, it goes back to that tighter setting, and I find that works pretty well. So just finished swimming with Sophie, and she did really well. And usually I wear an inexpensive watch because I leave it in the locker, and today I decided to go with the Sub. I just didn't feel like taking it off. I didn't feel like having a cheaper watch, and it's not a big deal. It's the lockers are locked, but I leave my key in a bag by the pool unattended, so there is a possibility that somebody could get the key and unlock the locker and get the watch out, but that's remote. I think you could go to the sports club and go to baby swimming 100,000 times and your watch would be safe, but still I sometimes just wear the Casio. If I could wear the watch in the pool, would I have worn this today? Probably not. Just seems like a gratuitous use of a dive watch to take it in the pool when you really don't need it and when there's a clock around, but I guess I would the safety issue would be something I wouldn't have to think about. All right, so I am on a Rolex Submariner kick, and I've noticed something. It's like there's a wave pattern that happens where I get really into a watch or a good watch, and I'm totally uninterested in Seikos and Seiko 5s and Casios. I wore this to sleep last night. I mean, I just really haven't taken this off except the shower. And I'm on the kick right now. All right, guys, where was I? So I tend to get in a frame of mind where I want a really good watch, or I want a Rolex or a certain Rolex, and I'll wear it for a couple months, and if you're at the peak, right, the peak of that feeling, it's very easy to think, yeah, I could become a one watch guy. This is really all I need. But then as the wave dips down, and I don't know what happens, you get tired of it, or you just need something new. You need something fresh. All of a sudden, something like a Seiko 5 looks kind of nice. And usually when it does, and I start wearing a Seiko 5 or something similar, I think, yeah, this is a great watch. I mean, I could totally be just a Seiko 5 guy. I don't need to go high end. And after a couple of months, I start wanting to get something a little bit better, wanting to wear something a little bit better. And so I'm right at the crest of this Rolex wave right now, enough so that, you know, I feel like this could be satisfactory for the rest of my life. But I know that'll change, and so it's perhaps good if you're thinking about selling pieces to go through a few of those wave cycles to see if maybe you really do want to sell a piece, because you don't want to beat a crest of a Seiko 5 wave and think, Seiko 5s are fine. I'm just going to do Seiko 5s to get some money back and sell the Rolex. I'm happy with the Seiko 5s, because you might start fiending for the Rolex. Anyway, so the lack of a date, you know, it's all perspective. If you look at it from the perspective of a purist, it's easy to look at the date as just an addition, a complication. To be a purist, time-only watch enthusiast, and to look at the date and other functions as just in a way, kind of unnecessary addition to just a pure time-only thing. I put in another video this, I mentioned this watchmaker, and he looks at a watch as a time-only instrument, and complications are attached to the movement. And if you are a purist for subs at least, then you'd want a time-only sub. But if you're a purist in terms of watches, I think a time-only watch is probably what you'd go for. Again, complications can be useful. I think people overplay the date. Look, it's useful, and you'll need it at times, and you'll look down and be able to check the date. But you know, there's some people that say, you know, I'm lost without the date. I couldn't have a time-only watch. I don't know. I'm not buying it. I mean, you really do need the time, because I can't tell you what time it is right now. In fact, let's check. It's a little bit before 4, but I can tell you the day. It's the 4th. And I'm on a string of days off because of Golden Week here in Japan, which is a string of holidays. And so the day before yesterday I had work, and that was the 2nd. And the 1st, when I had work, I hate to say it, but I had to check my phone. I looked down at my watch, I needed the date, and I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I had to get out my phone. But because of that experience, the next day when I woke up, I thought, okay, today's the 2nd. I didn't want that to happen again, so I just became more aware of the date. So not having the date on your watch actually makes you a little bit more aware of the date, and you probably really won't need it that much. Now, during a string of holidays, when I don't use the date, that's when I really need it. And so today I know it's the 4th, but I had to think about it. It was a little bit hazy, and so come Sunday, it's Friday now, I very likely would need a date function. Or would I? You know, you just, you check it once in the morning or once during the day, and you pretty much have it. It's funny because the date function on your watch makes you a little bit mentally lazy. You look down and you jot it down. It doesn't really register because you don't retain it. You don't, you know, you don't have to. And I guess, is that luxury, not having to retain the date? Perhaps. But I think people make a big deal of the date. Now, I'm getting ready to take a bike ride just for fun. There's an area behind me that I took a walk with my daughters to, and we took a left, but I could see to the right, it it looked like it would take me to that Seiko building, which looks like a little city. So I thought, okay, well, sometime I'll take my bike and check it out, do some exploring, and so that's what I'm doing now. Now I just finished playing some guitar, and just to sort of know how much I play guitar, I kind of want a time, you know, like, did I play 5 minutes today? Did I play 20 minutes, half an hour? I set the bezel, right? And I noticed something kind of interesting. I don't use the bezel the right way. I set the triangle, of course, where the minute hand is, but then when I check the time, you know what I do? I tend to focus on the triangle and the minute hand, and like right now, I would just look at the triangle and the minute hand, and it looks like that's 5 to 10 minutes. You know what's crazy? I don't even look at the outer ring of the bezel. I just noticed it today. That's something I don't do. And it was weird because I was playing guitar and I could see that I had been playing 15 minutes. And then my eye glanced up from the minute hand to the bezel, and I could see those little marks, and it was right at the 15. I thought, huh, that tells me it's 15. So that's really weird. Do you guys, I don't know, maybe, I didn't even know I was doing that. I didn't even know I was doing that. I look at the triangle, and then it's like I do math things. I mean, it's weird. What I need to do is I need to line up the triangle with the minute hand, and I need to forget about the triangle. It's done, it's set, and then just use that outer ring. Look, it's pointing to 10 right now. So it's just sort of a weird thing that I figured out I did. I don't know, maybe I've been hanging out with Vostocks too much, and you know, with a Vostok, you can still mark times, but they don't have numbers on the outer ring of the bezel. And actually, if you're timing with a GMT Master 2, you have to do the same thing. You can't trust what's on the bezel. So yeah, anyway, it's weird. I'm gonna have to make use of the numbers on the bezel and not just the damn triangle. Anyway, it's kind of interesting that I do that. Anyway, yeah, perspective. I guess that's really what I wanted to focus on. And look, I mean, if you walk around telling yourself that you're lost without the date, you probably will be. But if you just come to grips with it and you know, become a little bit more mindful of the date, then a date-only watch is fine. And you know, the purist in me likes a date-only watch. Sorry, date-only watch, a time-only watch. But especially the purist in me likes a time-only sub. I think that's the way to go. You know, I always associate the sub and the Explorer 1, if you will, because they are time-only watches, and they're sort of famous for their simple minimalist styles. You know, if you got a 2-line sub. Anyway, maybe I'll take some footage on my bike ride if I get a little closer to the Seiko Museum. Maybe not, I don't know. But take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Alright guys, there it is. I can see this from my apartment. And it just looks like an office building. I think I might have mentioned Seiko Museum. Not the Seiko Museum, just probably one of many Seiko branch offices. But there you go.